I don't want to go into the details of Shankara's teaching in this session. I'm going to look at certain historical things that we take as facts. Oh, Adi Shankara, 8th century philosopher. Everyone repeats it as though 8th century is a fact. Even they will, what you call, put his date of birth in this. 722 or something. Speculative at best. Shankara's date would have been anywhere up to 1st century BC. From 8th century to 1st century BC. It could have been anywhere between these. Yes, most scholars tend to accept the 8th century thing. But understand that it's not cast in stone. It's not absolutely true. Because there was a great Acharya in Sringeri in the 8th century also. Okay, after the first Adi Shankara, called Abhinava Gupta. So people say they're mistaking Abhinava Gupta for Adi Shankara as far as the date is concerned. So that is a big thing to keep in mind. Maybe more research scholars can do more research on. Similarly, the establishment of the 4 mathas. Yes, beyond doubt, whether if it was where you will look, I've seen people challenging this. Yeah. There is a sadhu who's been given sannyasa by Swami Dhananji. He didn't study with Swami Dhananji. He says that is not true. Well, where are we going to look into the evidence for it? Whether he established the 4 mathas or not. We will have to go into the existing biographies on Shankara. And one of the most important ones is the Shankara Digvijayam that's available. And it has also been published, I think, by Ramakrishna Mission, which traces some of these issues. And when you have mentioned which of the 4 acharyas took over which matha, it is no more under doubt. The only historical evidence available is this. And why am I saying up to 1st century AD? Because the 5th matha, that is not part of the 4, but it stands as an important matha, the Kanchi Kamakoti matha, as a lineage extending up to the 1st century. They have a lineage, Guru Sishya, succeeding Pitadishwas. So, what are we discussing? Is that an already existing matha before Shankara established the 4? And Shankara stayed there after handing over the 4 mathas to the 4 disciples? Or did he set it up? Or because the lineage is there? The lineage is mentioned very clearly. With names like Saraswati and Bharati. Whereas before Shankara, the sannyasa names were Pada, Bhagavad Pada, etc. Gauda Pada, Bhagavad Pada. Like Shankara himself, we call him Shankara Bhagavad Pada. But Shankara was the name given by his parents. Sannyasa names change nowadays. We don't carry the name that our parents gave us. But before Shankara, Shankara became Shankara Bhagavad Pada. Govinda Bhagavad Pada. Gaudapada. But here, the Sringeri Pita has Saraswati and Bharati surnames attached to it. So the Kanchi Kamakoti Pitam also has the same surnames attached. And their lineage shows up to 2000 years from today, 2000 years back. So what would be Shankara's date then? Because many things we say about Shankara, we take this also as though it's a fact. It is not. It's open. Why are you interested in putting him on 8th century? This is what many Western scholars did. Push it back as much as possible. Because then they can say, oh, Shankara spoke about one God. And that was Christian influence on. Another form of colonial thinking. That's not true. Shankara didn't speak about one God. He spoke there is only God, nothing else. It's a big difference. So some of these we have to keep in mind. You can't take these as facts. Yeah, popularly accepted 8th century. Fine. Okay. We can go by that, not a problem. But it's not cast in stone. The fifth matha, none of the four Shankaracharyas will accept the fifth. And they will give a reason which is valid reason that their surnames are Saraswati and Bharati, therefore they should be included in Sringeri, which has the right of Saraswati and Bharati. Fair enough. Nobody denies it. But if they have a 2000-year lineage to prove, how do you handle that claim? These are certain inherent contradictions that exist in our parampara. And we have to be open about it and understand it. Yeah? Understand it. It's okay. This exists. Yeah. Who can resolve it? Maybe another Shankara has to come. I know none of us have the stature to resolve it. So then what? Again, his works, when it comes to his works, almost anything and everything in Vedanta is attributed to Shankara. But if you look at the style of writing, things like that, many statements that is available in some of the Prakarana Granthas cannot be Shankara. Shankara wouldn't say that. Those who are thorough in the Bhashya, etc., will know. Nah. It's a good work, it's a good text. Can't be Shankara's. So traditionally speaking, Bhashyas, yes, definitely Shankara's. The Bhashyas and the Gita, the Upanishad and the Brahma Sutras, definitely Shankara's. Okay. Accepted by all scholars. Then, what about Prakarana Granthas, etc.? Upadesha Sahasri, definitely Shankara's. Some of you have heard Upadesha Sahasri from me in the camp at Rishikesh. You saw how the prose section follows Atyasa Bhashya in toto as a Prakarana Grantha. So definitely Shankara's. Dakshinamurti Sotram, definitely Shankara's, because Sureshwara has written a commentary on it, Manasorlasa, which I've taught a couple of times. I think Swami is teaching it now. So definitely Shankara's. Other texts, not necessarily. They're good texts. Study Atma Bodha, good texts. Tattvabodha, good text. But I doubt whether Adi Shankara would have sat and written a text like Tattvabodha. Definition of terms, after writing all the Bhashya, why would I write something like this? You could ask some of his students to write it. Beta jara, look lo. They just write something like this for beginners. Atma Bodha, same. Good text. Good text. Whether it is Shankara's, doubtful. Aprokshana Buddhi, same thing. Very good text. I have taught that. All these texts I'm talking, I have taught. Okay. Good text. Attributed to Shankara, yes. Really Shankara's? I don't know. Scholars don't agree. Style of writing, etc. Different. Saundarya Lahari, if you're talking about Bhakti literature. Yes, all Devi Upasakas, all Tantrikas will accept it as Shankara's work. It's a Tantric text, okay? Because each verse has a yantra behind it. Each verse has. Saundarya Lahari as a whole, of course, you'll use the Sri Vidya yantra. Otherwise, each verse has a yantra, each verse has a purpose. So, among the Tantrics, it's accepted as Shankara's work. The Dashanama Sannyasa system, definitely Shankara's work. The 10 names, Dashanama, 10 names given to, because he felt that the sannyasis should have some networking system. It is not organizational. Like I belong to Sringeri. Sringeri doesn't decide anything that I do. All of us belong to Sringeri. That is evident from our surname, Saraswati. Bharati and Saraswati are associated with Sringeri. So like that, he created 10 names and associated with the 4 Pitas. At Dwarka in Gujarat, Puri in the east, and Joshimata in the north. So the Dasanama Sannyasa system, he codified it. He didn't do anything. He didn't create the sannyasa. Sannyasa is Vedic. Yeah. Sannyasa is Vedic. You have a great teacher and a householder like Yajnavalkya saying, I'm validating the tradition and going and being a sannyasi. You think Yajnavalkya, the great teacher, needed to take sannyasa? He was a rishi, he knew the truth, he taught the truth. But he validated the tradition. Because the Indian tradition of Varnashrama Dharma was, Ashrama Dharma was, at the end of the life, everyone takes sannyasa. Best retirement plan in the world. Then, other question comes up. What about all the akhadas and the Naga Babas? These are all part of our Sanatana traditions. You can't turn a blind eye to all of them. Oh. Yeah, one of the Naga Babas wanted me to be one of their mandaleshas. I very politely declined, saying Guru Seva Baki. I was last Kumbh Mela, you would have seen me in the procession. Bum bum gole. But this Naga tradition also is attributed to Shankara. It was a militant wing necessary because of foreign invasions and the breakdown of law and order because of that. Now look at it. Foreign invasion is 8th century. So was the first, if Shankara was first century, did he set up the Naga Babas or was it the later Shankara, Abhinavagupta, who set it up? But right now, they're accepted. The Naga traditions are also an offshoot of Sanatana Dharma. Remember, when you're accepting Sanatana Dharma, you have to accept all of it. Yeah, if there are certain problems, you can correct it. Naga Babas are not a problem. Where are they a problem? I never seen them as a problem anywhere. I know a lot of Naga Babas. They're not a problem. We, as highly secularized, modern educated people, may not be able to relate to them. But drop the differences and you relate to them. They're sadhus like you are, I are. They're the same. Yeah, they have different traditions. Some of the tradition may not be necessary in today's world. I don't know. Maybe necessary also when I see what's happening in TCS and all that stuff. They maintain law and order in sadhu gatherings. Now the government, etc., is happened because it's our government. Our government meaning Indian government. So law and order is taken over by the state and the center. Whereas olden days, there was a problem. There was a problem of law and order. So the Naga Baba stepped in. So the Naga Babas also had traditions. Again, remember, attributed to Shankara. Somewhere Shastradharis, expert in the Shastra, that, the teaching, the tradition, all that they kept doing. Somewhere Shastradharis, expert in the art of combat, warfare, etc. Very few were both Shastra and Shastradharis. It was necessary at that time. If they were in there, there wouldn't be one major temple standing in India today. All of them would have been destroyed. In spite of them, so many are destroyed. Ramji, you're speaking Hindutva. I'm speaking facts. And name it what you want. And if you think, when I say that under Mughal rulers, temples were destroyed, is Hindutva propaganda. Look at the firmans of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb, for all his limitations, was a great administrator. He kept meticulous records. Which temple was destroyed when, what were the weapons used, how was the reconstruction done, how was a mosque built on top of it, where did the foundations last, all that meticulous records are available. You read that, you will know. Unless you want to put Aurangzeb as Hindutva propaganda. These are all history. It's not meant to make you angry or something. Meant to recognize what happened and accept that this is this. If you can correct a few things, correct a few things. That's it, not more than that. So the Naga Baba tradition also extended to Shankara. And you see, most of the Naga Akhadas are in North India. But you'll see the South Indian influence there. Like our parampara, we belong to the Niranjani Akhada, for example. Okay? Because many of us feel closer to Junna Akhada because we know the Mangaleshwar there well. But technically, we belong to the Niranjani Akhada. And the Upasana Murti in Niranjani Akhada, the deity, Ishvara worshipped as a deity, is Kartikeya, Murugan, from South. There are very few temples to Kartikeya or Muruga in North India. But the Niranjani Akhada has Upasana Murti as Kartikeya. Where did that come from? If Shankara's influence was not there, where did that come from? So these are all ancient traditions going over 1,000 years. This is not created yesterday, today. So if you're talking about Shankara, then all this becomes part of the tradition. You can't say this, I accept that. Yeah, I may be more comfortable with some and less comfortable with the others. Like I said, when the Naga Baba asked me to be a Mandaleshwar, I politely declined. Fair enough. Yeah. Because I felt I was more effective in a more liberal background of things. That's a choice you make. But do you accept the Naga Akhadas and this? Of course I do. Totally. I accept that totally. No issues. I'm very comfortable with them as well. We have to learn to be that. Yeah. Tantric traditions. Again, some of it is attributed to Shankara. The Soundalari was an attempt at making Tantra, etc., more sattvic. Not the negative practices, make it more positive. So why are we scared of Tantra? Why are we scared of it? I know plenty of Tantrics. Aghoris. They are supposed to be the most dangerous of all Tantrics. I know. In fact, they came and paid respect at Puja Swamiji's Samadhi. Puja Swamiji was respected by them. Though he didn't have much interaction with them. But Puja Swamiji commanded a lot of respect from Aghoris. There's a huge Aghori ashram in Haridwar. So they came from there to pay respects to Swamiji on the Samadhi on the 16th day. And Tantra has a source in Atharva Veda. It's part of our heritage and tradition. Now, all of you who have great regard for Sri Vidya, that's Tantric. Every temple that is Prana Pratishtha is done, there's a Tantri involved in it. Every Navaratri Puja in all the Shankara Matams in the country that happens, all the homas that happen, there are Tantric rites involved in it. If you can't accept that, are you a Sanatani? Or are you having a buffet approach? Buffet approach is good for a buffet. Buffet approach is good when you're eating a buffet. You can't eat everything. Here also, if you like to follow the Shastra, the Vedanta, that's fine. But accept those as part of our tradition. It's okay. Yeah, why not? It's part of the whole thing. So I'm deliberately this time putting a few of these ideas because I want you all to think about it and be comfortable with this. Yeah. And not think narrow that only the Upanishads and Gita is Hinduism. It's an ocean. You follow your path, fine. But the whole thing is an ocean. Recognize the ocean exists. And if you want to explore some of the other facets, please explore. But be careful. Speak to your guru, whomever you are learning from, then explore. Not an issue. So think about these ideas as well. Yeah. Om Tat Sat.